Box trick. I don't know what happens, like these cameras turn on and I become really stupid, like, because I'm definitely really cool in real life. It's week 15. We're here to unbox some daily fantasy players because here's the deal. I know most of you people out there, it's just the way it works. You've been eliminated from your season-long leagues. Those are in the trash, they're dead in the water, buried 6 feet under, whatever analogy for dead you want to use. But the good news is that's why we have daily fantasy. That's why we have all these players in these boxes, because you can keep playing fantasy. You can keep ignoring the misery that's going on in your life or whatever. I don't know, you're hiding from something. Good. The players are hiding in these boxes. I feel like this was kind of a morbid start, so let's recover and get right into it. Quarterback number 1, $33 in daily fantasy, has averaged 8.6 yards per attempt this season. That's second best among qualified cornerbacks, second best to the GOAT, Ryan Tannehill, by the way. Quarterback number 2, $29, and their opponent is the worst defense for quarterbacks. That's interesting. Quarterback number 3, $25 in daily fantasy, has rushed for over 20 yards 3 times this year. I've decided this week that I'm going to go cheap at quarterback. I'm not paying up. So bring us this. You see that, Scissors Twitter? I've got the fingers in the holes. Got the fingers in the scissor holes. What the? Oh, yeah. I had a feeling it would be Ryan Fitzpatrick. Sure enough, it is. You know, you could actually say that that unboxing experience that we just went through was kind of like Ryan Fitzpatrick's career or his performance in a nutshell. You know, it was very rocky. It was a wild ride. But in the end, we got to a good result. That's pretty much how Ryan Fitzpatrick is as a fantasy quarterback. The Giants, their pass defense, in a professional term, is bad. So, cheap quarterback, I like the way we've started. Let's move on to our running back group. Running back number 1, $36 in daily fantasy, has gained 570 yards after the catch this season. That's third most among running backs. And their opponent is tied at 6th place for most receiving touchdowns allowed to running backs. That is a random stat, but I love it. Running back number 2, their opponent has allowed the 10th most rushing yards to running backs this season. That is pretty juicy sounding right there. I hope that's not a trap because I'm already wanting to take it. Running back number 3, $21 in daily fantasy, has double-digit fantasy points in 6 straight games. I feel it. I mean, look, here's the deal. This one's expensive, but there's a lot to like there, obviously. This one, $28. I feel like it's a trap. You know what? I'm not going to get in my own head about this. I went cheap at quarterback. I'm going to go with the expensive running back here. This was the faulty box, too. I had a feeling that this was this player, and it is indeed Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook against the Los Angeles Chargers, who have had a tackling problem. By the way, tackling is kind of important in the NFL. A tackling problem all season. Yeah, I'll take that. I am perfectly fine paying the $36 and feeling comfortable. Moving on to our next group of running backs. Running back number 1, $19 in daily fantasy, averaging 63.8 receiving yards a game this season. Their opponent has allowed the 4th lowest receiving yards to running backs. That sounds like an incongruent skill set. That also sounds like Austin Eckler. Probably not going to pick him. Running back number 2, for matchup, it just says V. V what, Trevor? What? Running back number 3, $20 in daily fantasy, averaging 4.5 rushing yards per game. No, that would be terrible. Averaging 4.5 yards per carry a game. How am I supposed to pick from these? I don't want to pick this one. I already paid. I mean, I guess I'm just gonna have to pick this guy. Mr. Careful, doesn't fumble. I don't know that much else about them. This is intriguing. Got Philip Lindsay here. This is actually kind of a sneaky pick because he had a rushing touchdown early last game called back. Philip Lindsay has been generally cooking. Now that Drew Lock is under center as opposed to Brandon Allen, they've been catching more passes. Him and Royce Freeman have. So I think this is actually a really sneaky pick, especially against the Chiefs because, you know, they're going to have to score points. And, you know, if the Chiefs are weaker on one area of their defense, it's definitely the rush defense, not the pass defense. Now we move on to my favorite position, the wide receiver position. Wide receiver number 1, $33 in daily fantasy, has 3 games of 28 or more fantasy points. That's juicy. $26 in daily fantasy. This fella right here. They're averaging double-digit targets over the last 6 games. This last one, $19 in daily fantasy, had a season high 30.6 fantasy points last week. I think I'm gonna go expensive here. Oh, yeah, baby. Chris Godwin, the smash play of the week, as long as Jameis Winston plays. Those easy layup throws out of the slot, perfect against the Detroit Lions, who suck. It is hard to not like a lineup with Chris Godwin and Dalvin Cook. Next wide receiver group here. Wide receiver number 1, $32 in daily fantasy. They have the 3rd most intended air yards on the season. Wide receiver number 2, $23 in daily fantasy, and their opponent has allowed just 3 more passing touchdowns than interceptions. That is a dangerous little matchup. Wide receiver number 3, 2 games with 130 plus yards in the last 3 weeks, and their opponent has allowed the 5th most passing touchdowns this year. I already know I'm gonna go for that. I'm gonna give a guess here. This is A.J. Brown, rookie wide receiver from the Tennessee Titans. If I'm wrong, Yahoo Sports, you can fire me. And just as I expected, and A.J. Brown has been doing some serious work for the Tennessee Titans of late. This guy is crushing it. He has a over 20% target share since Ryan Tannehill took over. As the resume indicates, he's been making big plays. 20 yards per catch on the season, you rats. And now he gets the Houston Texans secondary this week. Hell yeah, A.J. Brown is going to smash once again. Must start in fantasy. $15? Wake up. Wake up, Yahoo pricing, $15. And last but certainly least, we have the tight end position. Tight end number 1, 80% of the season's touchdowns have come in the last 5 weeks. Tight end number 2, $14 in daily fantasy. Their opponent allows the 11th most fantasy points to tight ends. I have a feeling I know who that is. Do you want me to say who I think it is? It's Tyler Higbee from the LA Rams. Tight end number 3 here, $13 in daily fantasy. All it says is their opponent is not good at guarding the tight end position. Well, how not good, fellas? I mean, you're supposed to be giving me resume here. It's not your opinion. Who's to say? So, I'm almost just curious to see who the hell this is, because they gave me no resume. Opponent is not good at guarding the tight end position. Plus, I did pay up for Cook and Godwin, so I probably can't get too pricey at tight end. Let's just be clear. There is no way this is going to end well for me. Oh, man. David Njoku is playing the Cardinals this week. Actually, the resume was totally correct. The Cardinals are definitely not good at guarding the tight end position. I guess had they put on the resume that their opponent allows the most everything to the tight end position, yards, catches, touchdowns, all that, I would have guessed that it was David Njoku playing the Cardinals, and I probably would, to be honest, I probably wouldn't have picked him. But it's not the worst thing you could do. Njoku is a talented player. He just hasn't played much this year because he's gotten hurt, and he wasn't used that much in his first game back. It could be worse, right? Okay, I'm just gonna put that out there into the universe. It could be worse. So that's my unboxed daily fantasy lineup for week 15. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Dalvin Cook, Phillip Lindsay, Chris Godwin, A.J. Brown, and David Njoku. It's a mixed bag, but overall, I think this lineup actually has a shot to be really good. Oh yeah, and you should stick to playing fantasy by going to yahoosports.com/dailyfantasy and playing games there now that your season-long fantasy team is, as we mentioned up top, dead in the water.